Well, we are one episode away from the mid-season finale. We'll be right back and we're going to talk all about this episode. What is going on, everyone? This is Ninja Geek here, and today we are going to be talking about The Walking Dead Episode 7, Crossed. Very good and interesting episode indeed. There wasn't really like a huge amount of action, like I guess you could say the premiere of Season 5, but it was definitely one of the better episodes of Season 5. Not really lots happened, but anyways, we're going to start off talking about this. So, anyways, here we go. So we're going to start off with Rick and everyone in their group, because it turns out, first off, that we find out that who was in the woods was actually Noah, and I kind of hinted towards this in my last episode that I did this, that, it was going to be Noah in the woods. I had like a high, chances for that, and it actually was him, because, he said, that was when Daryl said, come on back, like 3 or 4 episodes ago in Season 5, and now we got to actually see who that was, and it was Noah. So I think they tried to do like a whole kind of like backstory on like how he ended up being there versus just some random guy. So that's what they were doing there. And so that's basically that. So they were trying to think of a plan to get Carol and Beth back, obviously. Because they really need them a part of their group. They're not going to just like let them go away, so they're going to try and do everything they can. So they start heading off. Rick basically tells, Carl and everyone at the church just to stay there and kind of like guard it in a way, I guess you could say, from anything or anyone, because they don't want to like have everyone go there just because, go back to Atlanta. So, Rick takes only a few people. He takes Tyrese, Sasha, Daryl, and him, and I don't remember if there was anyone else. I can't remember at this time. But yeah, so he takes like that smoke, and of course Noah, because Noah knows the way in and out and stuff like that. He's been there before, actually been there. So, this is basically the part where Noah tries to distract the cops in a way so that, they could try and capture these cops there. And, so Noah's like shooting up in the city. The cops end up chasing after him. They handcuff him, and they say, well, where's that other group that we saw you like running with? And it turns out, that it's obviously Rick's group, because that's an obvious thing right there. It's completely unexpected by the cops that who it was going to be, and it turns out that they all had guns on these cops, and obviously they're not going to do anything. What are they going to do? Tell them to get on the ground? They have more firepower. They have better guns and stuff like that than the cops do. So the cops obviously just listen to them. And one of the things, well, first off, we find out that one of the cops' names is Bob. It was like the guy cop. His name was Bob, so I'm just gonna refer to him as Bob. He asks Rick, because the way he talked to them, if he was actually a cop before, which was kind of interesting, because the way he talked, he said, "Put your guns on the ground and kneel," and it was kind of like in a cop-like fashion. And so then, anyways, they're trying to like capture these 2 cops, and like another car comes down the road full of more cops that are just shooting at Rick's group, and they basically get into this whole entire fight. And then Sasha comes around the corner and shoots one of the tires out, which basically makes it so that the cops can't get away, which was actually very good, because if the cops actually did get away from there, that it would have been like, okay, we have to like secure the area that, the hospital, so that we don't die from these intruders, versus, Rick having captured them. So thank God Sasha was the one that actually shot the tire out, and they went around the corner. And here I'm going to talk about a cool kind of fun fact that I saw on The Talking Dead afterwards. It was like one of the behind the scenes parts where you turn the corner and basically you see a bunch of bodies on the ground, and it looks like they've been just like burned, just annihilated, and it's just like, well, what the hell happened here? Like, what happened to these walkers that they ended up getting like this? And we end up finding out in The Talking Dead that this part of the story, that this part of season 5 here was when like when Rick obviously turns the corner and sees all those dead bodies, was when in season 2, episode 5, the flashback of Shane and Lori on the highway, when they were saying that they're napalming in the streets. That section right there was actually the result of the napalm. Those walkers were from the strike that hit Atlanta. So I thought that was pretty cool that they actually referenced that back into like a sort of a flashback type of thing within season 5, from all the way back into season 2. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But anyways, when they were right there, the cops kind of like started to, hobble and walk away. Daryl knows that there's at least 1 or 2 cops like hiding somewhere around there, because they knew that they didn't all go around the corner. And he gets pinned down by one of the other cops that was driving in the car. And, he ends up doing a pretty nice move of putting his fingers in the eyes of a walker and just smashing it against his face to get out of there. He was almost in a death situation, and then Rick was about to kill him, but Daryl said that 3 for a hostage is better than having 2 for a hostage, and they continue to obviously move on. But meanwhile, while that whole story is going on, because we've been discussing that part of the episode, when there's another half, actually there's another, the other half of it has to do with Gabriel at the church and Abraham and the rest of the group at the fire truck. That's where they last left off 2 episodes ago. And so Gabriel at the church, it's like to be honest, I have no idea what's going on. You can leave a comment below on what you think of Gabriel. He seems like he's just like too, I don't know the word for it. It's just too anxious. It's too, he has like anxiety attacks. Like I don't know what he's trying to get at, but he ended up, well, first off, Carl tells Gabriel to take a weapon for his choice, because he needs to start defending himself in case of anything happens. So Gabriel ends up taking a machete, and he goes in his room and he digs. By the end of the episode, he digs underneath the church and escapes. I think he's trying to figure out that he needs to escape from these people that are. He thinks that maybe they're intruders or whatever, even though they're completely not. They're sane people. They're people that actually tried to help him. They saved Gabriel's life. Rick did, it was in episode 2, I believe, of season 5 that we end up finding Gabriel, and Rick ends up saving his life down there in that building when they were trying to collect food and supplies. So I don't think that he thinks that these people are enemies, but we don't know what's going on in Gabriel's mind. So he leaves. It's just crazy what happens with him. He escapes, like I said, at the end of the episode for no reason, and then we kind of we're gonna cut back into the part where Bob the cop, because there was another Bob that he died obviously a couple episodes ago, which was unfortunate. But this Bob is a cop, and he basically lied to Sasha, saying that there was someone outside, and if he could, he was basically making up this whole entire story. Sasha was looking out the window, and Bob ran right into her, smacked her against the glass. And to be honest, it wasn't even his fault; it was her fault, because she, who's stupid enough to believe that stuff? If I was in that scenario, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna leave you here, because I wouldn't really care about him. I don't care what he thinks. I don't even care if he's handcuffed, and maybe even if he was tied to the wall and he said where the person was, I still wouldn't care. That guy is still a threat to me, and she just let her guard down too much, and that's why she's dumb for doing that. I mean, now who knows what's going to happen? I mean, now he's out on his own. I mean, of course he's tied up, so he can't do anything, I mean, besides kick. But either way, still, if you if you let someone out like that easily, Sasha, then I don't know what to say about you. You're a little stupid for actually doing that. But that's basically all we can see and tell from this episode. I'm trying to go back and rethink if there's anything else, because we basically covered everything from that interesting tip back, the flashback with the burnt walkers in that one scene, from everything from Daryl doing his nice special move on the cop to them taking them hostage. Next week's episode is going to be the final episode of this series, obviously because The Walking Dead ends for the mid-season finale, and then we come back in February, I want to say. It's usually February. So we come back in a couple of months next year in 2015 after next week's episode. And, we get to continue on through Season 5. So far, as I can tell, Season 5 is looking better than Season 4. Especially with the episode layouts and stuff like that. See, the only episode, like I mentioned in the other episodes of this that I did, was episode 4 with Beth. I believe it was episode 4, yes. I want to say it's episode 4. It was the whole, Beth scenario thing where she was at the hospital. That just kind of dragged on too long, in my opinion. That was the only really kind of like stupid episode, in my opinion. So I really did, and that was also the day that Advanced Warfare came out. The day after that Advanced Warfare came out, so I didn't do a video on that until next week, and then I covered both episodes. And so that's basically it on this episode. Leave a comment below on what you thought of this episode and what you think of us closing in on the mid-season finale. At first, it seems like, maybe Rick and these cops can try and, get along, and maybe they could, try and work something out, because apparently the cops aren't the nicest people, but they definitely have the medicine that you need, and the shelter, especially, because the shelter, they got, the hospital, they're in, like, the top, floors of it, there's not really, zombies aren't going to climb the side of the walls, they're not going to, the elevators are basically broken. At least as far as we can tell, there's the elevators, there's really none. The only way to get up is the stairs, but either way, they're pretty much locked out on there, and they basically have medicine and medication, which is a good thing, but the cops are just complete jerks. And I could never see Rick, giving in and saying, oh yeah, we're just going to be here because of the medicine. I don't see that ever happening, obviously not, because at the end of the episode, obviously we see Bob, the cop, smack Sasha, so it's not even like he was telling the truth, like a cop. It's not even like he was doing that trying to show companionship and give in and, say, oh, we can, live together. He obviously wants to be separated, and I think that it's best if, Rick just, fights for what he wants, or not even fights, because even in the preview of next week's episode, afterwards we saw, Rick basically stands up and asks them if he says, you have 2 of our people, and we just want them back, and that is basically the next week's episode preview, and that's basically it. And next week is going to be there's either going to be 2 options there. I doubt that this option is going to happen, but they're going to give back Beth and Carol and just walk away all happy, and the episode's going to be over in a couple of minutes, and then just do something completely random, or they're going to end up fighting. Now, for an hour-long TV series with ads, of course, so it's about 45-minute long TV series, I doubt that within 45 minutes, Rick is just going to be standing there saying, oh yeah, we want our people back. And of course, with the Gabriel scenario too, and the Abraham scenario too, there's that. They're probably going to even lead into that next episode, just because they don't want to lead right into the mid-season finale. It's kind of like how they did with the mid-season finale back in Season 4, where, we find out that Herschel ends up dying, but it was more towards the end of the episode. It wasn't like they just cut right in where the governor, comes right in and, just basically, takes over the prison. It kind of delayed it a little bit. So here they're probably going to do the same thing. They're going to cut to Gabriel. Maybe they're going to show like 20 minutes with him. That's what I guarantee, because they're trying to delay everything till the last possible second. And then we're going to end up finding out what happens during the mid-season finale. The mid-season finale for Season 4 was actually pretty good, because it ended, obviously it didn't end on a good note. It ended on Herschel obviously dying, but that was it. Herschel died and they all escaped, not together. So, it did kind of end on a bad note, but at least they were alive. Here within Season 5, there is potential, to say that things can indeed go wrong. So, meaning that if Rick acts, if he gets captured by these cops and they're at this hospital, then I don't think that that's going to end up turning out well for the rest, because now the group is split in half again. Or actually, well, technically they're split into thirds, because Abraham's group it was already split up, and now Rick's group is split up from the group at the church that Gabriel now left. So they're technically, if you want to get into it, they're split into 4 groups, but we never know if Gabriel's part of their group fully, so it's kind of hard to understand, but usually at the end of every season, I don't know what it is, but at the end of every season, some place falls. Now, it didn't happen like this in season 3, I think. No. In season 1, the CDC fell, places fall. In season 2, at the end, the farm fell, Herschel's farm. And in season 3, we thought, because we found this prison right in the beginning, we thought, oh, the prison's gonna fall. Well, no, and then it ended up lasting, a season and a half. It really lasted that long. It went through all of season 3, and then it went through half of season 4, and that's where, that was it for the prison. And so we don't know what's going to be next because, where Rick is staying now is this little tiny church. It's not really, anywhere special. That's just where he is for the moment. I doubt he's just going to be like, all right, we're staying here. We're going to hold up here. I think he kind of wants to move on. So there's not really much places that could go down, But since this is the mid-season finale, either, something like this, like a fight goes down, or an actual building of sorts goes down, which I doubt that they would take down a whole entire hospital, because that's just not possible. So anyways, now I'm just kind of talking about the whole seasons in general, trying to get your thoughts on what you think of this season so far, and what's going to especially happen in next week's episode. If you did enjoy, leave a like, rating, and subscribe for more Call of Duty Advanced Warfare content, as well as this series for next week, because next week we'll probably have a bunch of stuff to talk about since it will be the last episode for a little bit. But basically trying to think of anything else that I would like to say, but I think that's about all. I'm Ninja Geek. I'll see you on whatever my next video happens to be. I'm out. Peace.